Hey guys, welcome back to the REVan channel. We made our way to New Jersey and we're going to give you a fun day. My buddy John Clure is here. We're at a Cars and Coffee that's all Ford. There's hundreds of cars here. As you can see behind me, we're also going to take a look at my buddy Dave's special collection. This is the 2022 Mustang and all Ford meet. They put on a ton of Cars and Coffees here, and this one is a special one because John's here. He's going to give a little seminar. We're going to take a look at some cars that you don't often see, some that you see a lot. It's going to be a fun day, so come along for the ride. All right, so Dave's been kind enough to invite us into his palace of Fords, and a palace it is indeed. As you can see, two of the most incredible cars right here, Cobra and Cobra R.
Yes.
These are the cars that every enthusiast wants to own, Dave. We're going to go through some of the cars that you've picked up. If you like what you see here, we've done 3 previous videos. I'll put the link to those videos in the description so you can check those out later. But today we're going to talk about Cobra Rs, we're going to talk about Cobras, and what makes these two particular cars very special. First of all, Dave, thank you for
very welcome.
having us up here.
Always good to see you. Thank you for coming. What a great day. Had so many enthusiasts out here today. Thank you for everybody for coming out to the event, you, Evan, especially, and John for making the track. We all appreciate your presence here and all your knowledge about all these cars.
Thank you. So, even we got to thank Freehold Ford too. They used to sponsor my race car and they helped present the show today.
Yeah, John and his team at Freehold are just fantastic. They always support this show, support us in between, throughout the year. They're just great people over there.
So
yes.
2 of my favorites, and if you're a late model Mustang enthusiast, this was pretty much like everybody's favorite, the Cobra R. The story behind them, which is a deep-rooted story, how they became, and then seeing examples here. 31 miles on this one, and what do we have here?
96 miles on this one.
So, I mean, these are as good as examples as far as pristine condition that you're going to get. Why don't we start with the teal car,
sure,
which we know that color is near and dear to my heart, and then we'll talk about the R after, because this is a special R. It's one of 7 cars that has a big story behind it.
Yeah, so teal, this is just screaming 90s, this color. 90s, 90s, 90s. So they came out with these teal cars. There was 1,355 in teal of the 4,993 regular Cobras they made. They were supposed to make 5,000, but because what we're going to talk about here,
right,
they had to take 7 out to settle the lawsuit. So this one, pristine example, 31 miles. It's got the sunroof, the leather interior. It's just a perfect car. Great example and a great just historical perspective on how the Cobra came right from the factory.
All right, so we'll check out under the hood that Cobra GT40 engine, 235 horsepower. The 3-bump Cobra heads, which sometimes people mistake the GT40P heads for those. This is the cylinder head. This is the engine you want to have. I've raced this engine in my NHRA stocker for a long time. Everybody loves that intake manifold. It's a great piece. Obviously, there's a lot of aftermarket stuff now. But Dave, what's so special to you about 93 Cobras? Why do you love them so much?
I think they were just the end of the generation. And usually in a model run, that last year or two is just the pinnacle of performance. And this certainly was that. The Cobra, you didn't get any better than that. I mean, these cars, just to show you the significance, have just skyrocketed in value over the last few years.
Right.
And it just shows the enthusiasts and the collectors are after the best of the best.
Starting with the 93 GT that's here at, we'll just give you a rough $18,000 for a fully loaded GT, $21,000 for the teal Cobra, and then we go up to $24,000.
That was the big jump.
See this bar right here? They didn't all have that. This was added after. The early Cobra intake manifolds are completely flat here, and if you have one of those intake manifolds, it seems to be worth a significantly larger amount of cash. So this has the bar here, and there's ones that are flat. You can see behind us, even though we're going to move to the R next, Dave's collection of Fox bodies is just out of this world, starting with you know, the coveted Celine. Steve Celine at the time was road racing these cars, and what I always liked about the Celine Mustangs was that he added a body kit, but it looked like something that would have come from Ford. It wasn't gaudy, it was actual aero, and it kind of went with the lines of the car.
As a matter of fact, if you remember in the day, people were getting LXs and putting Celine body kits on them.
Yep.
And they were readily available through their catalog. So I remember a lot of my friends, people at the track, people that just wanted to make their cars look nicer. They were getting the front air dams, the rear, the side spats. It was a big deal.
It was. And the style thing's funny because I did the exact opposite. I'm literally scraping the sound deadening with a hairdryer out of my car.
Lighter.
Yeah, I think I remember I took out like 35 or something pounds of sound deadening. I cut out like 30 pounds of wiring. I just wanted to make my car as light as possible, and it made a lot of noise. You know, it was a rattle trap when I got done.
That's the R there. That's the R.
Yep.
Yes.
So speaking of the R, let's cruise down and take a peek.
And I think, Evan, what a lot of people don't know about, the Cobras is that everybody thinks there was a red Cobra, a teal Cobra, a black Cobra. Okay, so 3 Cobras.
Yep.
And then they say, wait a minute, there's a Cobra R here. And then a lot of people don't know there was a Cobra Red EY that had non-clear coated red paint.
Yep, we spoke about that with Mark
right.
Wilson in a recent video. He did
right.
point that out, but explain.
Yeah, so right in the prototype and pre-production, they were giving out Cobras to Ford execs, and as they were painting that performance red paint out, a few of them got sprayed with the non-clear coated paint. So I happen to have one in another garage, so that's 5 Cobras.
Right.
But now what nobody has is the 6th Cobra, the prototype Cobra that they were testing at the time that obviously made its way to the 96 Cobra.
Yep.
So there were really 6 Cobras if you really want to be totally technical.
In the Fox body
back in
world.
'93, that's right.
Yep, and that was a former Muscle Mustangs and Fast Ford's test car or press car. We drove that thing. We did a bunch of stuff. Joe Amato owned it. Hot Rod Harry owned it. A lot of Mustang people owned it, and it's still now with Dave a serious Mustang collector.
So Evan, as we get into what's called the coveted Cobra that most people know, the Cobra R, Ford started to produce 100 of these. That was their original goal. What a lot of people know, if they look through the registry and the production numbers, there were actually 107 of these Cobras made. Somebody said to me one day, because this is number 103, they said, this Cobra wasn't supposed to be made. Why is it 103? They weren't supposed to make 100.
Right.
So the 7 Cobras that were in addition was a result of a lawsuit against Ford from a dealership called Courtesy Ford out in Colorado. So when the Cobra R was initially launched, not like today, where you have email, you have internet,
right.
and all those ways to order cars, it was fax machine. So you had to fax your order in to Ford's production plant. And what happened is that after the first day, there were still cars available. So Courtesy had ordered a number of these cars for their customers. The second day, Ford calls back, because now the order banks are closed, all 100, but more than 100 were ordered. And they called Courtesy Ford back and said, we can only give you 2. Courtesy Ford had over 10 ordered.
Right.
So what happened is Courtesy Ford started a lawsuit against Ford to say, I ordered it, I got my order in before the order banks closed, I want my orders.
Right.
So what ended up happening is that Ford, it was a quick lawsuit, they settled. Ford came back and said, we only have parts for 7 cars. So Ford offered $10,000 to people who didn't want to take the car. Those people took the $10,000, which again, back in '93,
it's almost half the price
of the car. And then the remaining people, the remaining 7, got their cars, and this is one of them.
Wow.
And happens to be a special one. This gentleman was really involved in the lawsuit, and it's in its pre-delivery inspection, and it's car number 103 and has 96 miles on it. It's still on the MSO.
Incredible.
So technically Ford still owns this car if it's on the MSO, right?
That's true. So what you're looking at with this particular car is a car that's never been dealer prepped. This is literally the way it would have rolled off the truck. It probably was dirty and salty from sitting outside, but it still has all of the original markings from Ford, which they look so cool now, but at the plant, these are literally just markings, you know, like, and you see all the different stickers on here, even on the wheels and tires. It's got obviously the no mileage or low mileage Goodyear Gatorbacks. Dave, you probably own more Gatorback tires than anybody I've ever seen in my entire life.
Oh, well, on the cars, and I also got the big inventory off the cars as well, but they never get old. Those Gatorbacks just remind you of your childhood.
Oh yeah,
just taking them off, just completely worn off.
It's almost like I can smell them, of course, but I know the way they feel, especially in the rain, which is not good. So Cobra R, if you're unfamiliar, these were built for road racing. They've got very, very, very stiff Coney shocks. I've driven these on track, and it's like riding around on a skateboard. There's almost no suspension compliance compared to what we know today for handling. I mean, they are stiff. They sit a little lower. They have no fog lights in the front to make room for the cooler. It has an oil cooler up front, so you can run them really hard. The interior is Spartan, right, Dave? What do we got going on in there?
No rear seat, some trim that's missing.
Yeah, let's take a look.
Want to go? Speaking of a Gatorback, here's another one.
Yep, 5-lug wheels.
5-lug wheels. Those were the '94 GT wheels, painted black with the chrome center cap and the polished lip.
Yep, and something you don't see today is roll-up windows. You could also see Abe.
Look,
Abe's on camera today.
There's a hole here.
Yep, no power door locks, remote mirror, by hand, manual.
And which I always thought was cool about this car, and for people who own them or are going to buy them, came with a full-size spare tire.
Yep.
On the rim, which was really neat. You don't see that very often.
No rear defogger on this car, and it's got a full piece that covers the spare tire well, a full rug actually, which they would have, an LX hatch would have had the one that goes to the back seats and then up.
That's right.
And kind of like is sewn in there.
In fact, you have to be careful because where the back seat well would be, there's cavities, and they just put almost a little piece of particle board there that you just don't want to. You could push right through and damage it. So, again, all to save weight. It's a very loud car when you drive it. Yeah. Because there's no insulation. There's just they've stripped it down, kind of like you did with your cars. We're talking earlier.
Right.
Trying to make it as light as possible. So, great car. Represents the era just so well. Oh,
it really does. And standing from my angle here, you can even see the difference in the front suspension alignment because the street going, even though this is street legal, the regular Cobra has a standard Fox body alignment setting, and then you can see, or hopefully you can see how much camber this has, negative camber. It's got far more than the car next to it, and obviously that makes this thing turn so much better. And they were lighter because of the fact that they were decontented. Ford really did go for it. And then obviously they kept it going in '95 with the Cobra R and ultimately the 2000R. All right, guys, so thanks for watching the channel. Please be sure to subscribe, hit that like button. Of course, leave a comment because we always want to know what you're thinking. I can't thank Dave enough. He's had us up here multiple times. The show was incredible. And we got one more video or two more videos that we'll put together before we leave here. I always like to take advantage of all the great opportunities. But Dave, thank you so much. It's been a really fun day. And we'll be back with more REVan content. So thanks for watching.